Hey, Restore Hearts family. My name is Tierra Sharma. I am your host and producer of the show, and I am so excited that you have joined me today. Today, we're going to be starting a new series, and I hope that you've been enjoying the series that we've been doing so far this year. Started out in January with the Malice of Matriarchy. In February and March, we did a series called Mending Mother-Daughter Relationships, a Daughter's Journey. And so I hope that you've been able to tune into those. We have just completed Mending Mother-Daughter Relationships and Daughter's Journey. And so we're going to be starting a new series called How to Navigate the Social Emotional Component as We Parent Our Children. And this is such a great topic. I have a surprise for you. Are you ready? We have a guest educator, an expert educator who is going to be teaching us on this subject in this new series. And so let me take a moment to introduce you to the woman who will be presenting this new series to us. This is Shameka Brown. Shameka Brown is the CEO and owner of SCB Educational Consulting LLC and a professional development consultant for organizations and universities. She has a bachelor's degree in special education, a master's degree in educational leadership, and infant early childhood mental health certification. She has over 20 years of experience in education and is passionate about supporting parents and children through her parent group, Parenting on Purpose. Shameka is also actively involved in her community and church, helping children and young adults with their educational and spiritual goals. Her hobbies include singing, reading the Bible, journaling, listening to gospel music, and continuing to learn and improve in the fields of education and mental health. And so that is our presenter for this series, Miss Shameka C. Brown. And I am so excited to have her here with us. I actually joined her group, Parenting on Purpose, where she helps to mentor young women and just help give us encouragement and guide us on how to parent on purpose. And I was a mother of a 3-year-old, and I believe my youngest daughter was about 7 or 8 months old at the time. And I'm telling you that her words, her encouragement, her knowledge, her wisdom were just so significant and impactful to me in my life during that time. And so it is a great pleasure and honor for us to have her here to talk to us about these things. What we're going to be talking about in episode 1 is behavior has meaning. Shamika's going to be talking to us about behavior has meaning in episode 1. So I want you to make sure that you have your journal and you have your pen, because there's going to be some great nuggets and some great gems that she's going to drop to us throughout this next month. Episode 2, we're going to be talking about love language. It's going to be part 1 of the 5 love languages to connect social emotional component of raising our children. And that is based off of the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. Then this is what we're referencing to when we're talking about love language. Yes, just as we have love languages as adults, our children also have and operate through those love languages. And so it is important that we get to know those. And in episode 3, this is going to be part 2 of our love languages episodes. And we're going to continue that discussion on connecting the social and emotional component of raising our children using the 5 love languages. And then episode 4 is going to be a great one. Episode 4 is going to talk to us about how to take care of ourselves as parents. Self-care for parents one-on-one. How many of us do an excellent job of taking care of ourselves as a parent? I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. And so these tips and tools and these just words of encouragement to us as parents are going to be so vital for us as we continue our parenting journey. And so I hope that you are ready for another great series. I want to remind you before we get started about our purpose here at Restore Hearts TV. So here at Restore Hearts TV, we combine faith and mental health to provide holistic education and empowerment to men and women who want to improve their mental health wellness. And our vision is to provide quality access to mental health wellness education to the community. Our mission is to equip men and women spiritually, mentally, and emotionally with fundamental education and skills required to help prevent mental health crisis in the community. And as you can see up top, we don't want you to cope with mental illness. We want you to live free from it. Once again, I'm so excited to be able to present to you Miss Shameka C. Brown, which is part of the vision of providing quality access to mental health wellness education to the community. I know that you will be blessed and educated and empowered by this series. And so, hey, stay connected to us on social media. Let us know how these videos and how this series is impacting you, is helping you be a better parent, and helping you to connect better with your children. Let us know. We love to know how this is impacting and empowering lives. It helps us, keeps us energized. And so the next voice you will be hearing will be the voice of Shameka C. Brown. Enjoy.
Hi, welcome. Today we're going to talk about behavior has meaning. I am Shameka Brown of STB Education Consultant, and today we're going to talk about understanding behaviors, which is key to understanding the growth and creating a relationship with your child. And when we start today, we want to make sure that we understand what is behavior. And when we look at behavior, we're referring to what a person does or how they act in response to different situations or circumstances. It can be positive or negative. It can be influenced by a variety of factors, such as genetics, environmental, or personal experiences. And we know if we look at our children in this aspect, that it depends on the situation, where the child is and developmentally, their environment, and their personal experiences with relationships. So, in order to truly understand a child's behavior, it is important to understand that as a parent, provider, or an educator, we can help provide the appropriate support and guidance to promote a healthy development. Behavior is a form of communication and it can communicate a wide range of things depending on the context and the individual. When we think about behavior and we think about the things that go on, it is very important to remember that there are many messages that can be communicated. And so, thinking about what it can look like, behaviors can communicate a person's emotional state. So, when we think about if a child is crying, it can indicate that they're sad, that they're scared, that they're frustrated, that they're hungry, that there's something that needs to be met. And depending on their level of communication, depending on their level of interaction, it all ties into that. It talks about their needs. What do I need in the moment? How do I get your attention so that I can be comforted? It's very important to remember they're not just crying just because there's something that's wrong and there is a need that needs to be met. It could be thoughts and beliefs. Behavior can communicate a person's thought pattern, their belief about something, in a way that they express their opinions or their beliefs through their actions. So many times we hear actions speak louder than words, but those actions are words that they're trying to express because they cannot say what they're feeling, so they're showing you what they're feeling. Reactions to stimuli. Behaviors can communicate a person's reactions to external stimuli, such as when they flinch in response to a loud noise or in response to something that's going on in their environment, to somebody's voice, to a sound in the car. There are many factors that affect your behavior and how you react. Relationships. Relationships are a key in how we communicate through behavior. Behaviors can communicate a person's relationship with others, such as how they show their affection or how hostile they toward someone. In the world of early childhood or in the world of parenting, sometimes when we're developing those relationships, our kids will love on us and hug up on us And when we do disciplinary actions or they not able to get what they want, we may see a different kind of behavior. But guess what? Today we're going to talk about what that look like and kind of get into understanding why these things happen. A very important factor as a parent, as an educator, or as a person when you have adult relationships, we have to be objective and try to observe our child's behavior without judgment or our own preconceived notions because we always tell ourselves stories. Oh, my child does this because of this, or my child is doing this because they want to upset me. No, our children do not just wake up in the morning and say, I want to make mommy and dad or grandma or the educator or anyone upset. I'm just going to act out. No, there is something that they're trying to tell us, but we have to realize that we have to be observant of the surrounding, what's going on, to truly see why this is happening. This would help you to see the things from their perspective and understand what they need as far as motivations and what they need as encouragement or to get a need met. So we have to be very careful when I say be objective. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But we want to be open and describe what we see, not the meaning that we believe that it should be. We have to be present, setting aside time to spend with our child or person without any distractions. So this could be playing together, reading a book, or simply just sitting and talking. When we're present and engaged, we're able to see the behavior and what is going on. Another key factor is that we're not just going to say, oh, I'm going to observe you today, but be intentional, be engaging, make it fun, just so you can make sure that you're in the moment and you're able to be present to see what the needs are. Take note. Keep a journal or notebook to record your observations of your child, and this can help track patterns and see the changes over time. Another important factor to remember is if you're not a writer, you can type it in your phone, but it's something about sitting with paper and interacting to just get those pieces to connect to feel what you're feeling and seeing. Notice the context. Pay close attention to what's going on in the environment. Is there a certain smell? Is there something that happened before your child did the behavior? Is there a word that you said that kind of made them feel some kind of way? What time of the day is it? Is it time for your child to eat? Is it time for a nap? Is there too much going on in the environment? What is happening in the context of when you see this going on? Look for patterns. Does your child have this behavior only when they're in the store? Does your child have this behavior when a certain friend comes around? Does your child have this behavior after eating a certain food? What things are triggering this behavior or this response? This will help you anticipate and be proactively ready to manage the difficult situation. What part of the transition from doing a desired task to doing an undesired task? So now we got to clean up so that we can do something else. That is very key in understanding the behavior. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the T word. Do you know what the T word is? Triggers. What are triggers? We hear it so much nowadays. Don't let that trigger you. Don't let this happen. So triggers are specific situations and events or conditions that causes the individual to react in a certain way. So when thinking about it in the context of behaviors, triggers can refer to anything that sets off a particular behavior or emotional response in a person or a child. For an example, if I tell my son no, it sends red flags off and he begins to cry. So I'm very selective with the words that I use when I'm interacting. So I try to make sure I don't say, at this time, we're not going to have this food. Instead of saying, no, you cannot have it, because I know over past times and past situations, when you say no, it sets a stage. So being very selective and figuring out what the triggers are. There are different types of triggers that we're going to talk about that we see. Loud noises. Some children have difficulty and respond in not using words, but screaming, running, anxiety, fear, irritability. When you hear loud noises, so for an example, sometimes at church, my son cannot handle the music that's going on. So he begins to get anxious once we're into the restroom. I know that's a trigger. So now we carry headphones to help support him when he begins to feel those kind of emotions. So, does loud noises affect? Do you see these behaviors when there's a lot going on or it's a lot of loud sounds? Transitions, moving from one activity to another, a desired activity to going to eat dinner. How many times do we see the crying? The teacher said they have to fit, they don't want to clean up. If we know that's a concern, how do we prepare them for that so that we don't have those moments? Because there's sensory sensitivity that cause difficulties to transitioning. They're not just doing it because they just don't want to. It's a process in their body that goes on that kind of triggers them to act out in ways that are not acceptable at that time during the transition because their body is doing whatever it is to communicate to you what those concerns are. Hungry or thirsty. Feeling hungry or thirsty can be a trigger from some children. They get irritable, they get cranky, they're frustrated, but they don't have the words in the moment. So look at the picture say, they're trying to tell you, hey, there's something going on. I need you to connect so you can know what I need in the moment. The lack of sleep. Raise your hands, put it in the chat box, or write it down. How many times we hear they didn't sleep good last night, and when we pick them up from school, they're saying they were moody, they were hitting, they were biting. Well, that's because sleep is very important for understanding the child's behavior, knowing how many hours they need, what we need to do to make sure that they're okay. That is very imperative. Social situations, too much going on, too many people, too many activities, birthday parties, classroom settings, a whole lot of people can be overwhelming for students or children or your child. Church services, going to Disney World, going to Sky Zone. When you begin to say, oh, they just won't act right, it's overwhelming. They're nervous, their anxiety, but they don't have the words, so they are showing you the behaviors. So if you know in social situations, you're seeing these behaviors, take note and create a plan to help them transition. Big, big, big thing. It is important to note that triggers can vary widely from person to person and can be unique to each individual. By identifying and understanding your child's triggers, you can help them develop strategies to cope and manage their emotion and the behaviors in those situations. So we're not going to just let them just go out there and just do this behavior and just have this concern. We're going to observe it, then we're going to help them create a way to manage and cope. So remember, we're not spying on them or trying to control their every move. We want to be attentive and responsive to their needs and help them develop healthy habits and strategies as they grow and develop and create relationships. Now, what? Once you identified your triggers, the next step we're going to talk about is strategies to help manage and cope with their emotions and behaviors in those situations. The very first thing we have to do is create a safe and supportive environment. Listening, hugs, comfort, connecting, talking about what's going on, being open and honest, letting them know that they're okay, that you see them, that you hear them, that you love them is very key. Ensure that their child feels safe and secure in their environment. That even including providing a calming space for them to retreat if they're overwhelmed. So I would encourage you to create a little small area in the living room, in an area where there's not a lot of interaction, and put some things that your children like pillows, diffuser with scents in it, coloring books, a reading book, blocks to stack, something that's going to help them calm down in the moment so that they can interact and be present. Also, setting up routines and schedules that provide structure and predictability. That is key. That is important. That is letting them know that, hey, I see you. I know what you need. Let's do this. Teaching them the coping skills. How might I help you to calm down in the moment? We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Teaching them how to tell you, express the feeling. You can help them by managing their emotions by teaching them ways to cope. Counting, breathing, dancing, singing, going for a walk, deep breathing. Keep it simple. Help them to understand how to breathe. So use a simple exercise. Let's say, okay, 1, 2, 3, in, breathe out. It's a great way. You can describe it like this: taking a big belly breath like you're blowing up a balloon. So in, release the air from the balloon. In, make your belly like a balloon, release the air. You try it. In, release. How much a difference in calm that is. Try that app. Make it fun. Using props and bubbles to engage. You might use a pinwheel or a bubble wand to help them say deep breaths, blow the bubbles, allow the bubbles. It's engaging, it's fun, it's a way to take those deep breathing moments. Practice regularly with them. Encourage them to take deep breath with you through different exercises so they won't feel stressed and overwhelmed. But it also helps to build habits to make it easier to use when they need it. Positive reinforcement. Praise the progress of your child, their efforts, help them to identify the positive effects of the deep breathing exercise on their mind and their body. Model the behavior. Show them how to do it. Invite them into a calming moment with you when you're having some trouble. This can help normalize the importance of behavior and reinforce how important it is to breathe and have those coping skills. Remember, deep breathing exercises that I just talked about, it's only one way to manage stress, and it's important to encourage your child to talk about their feelings and seek out additional support if needed. What does this mean? It is important to remember that behavior is not always a conscious choice. There may be underlying factors that influences a child's behavior, such as environmental, developmental, and even neurological factors. By understanding the message that the behavior is communicating, we can be empathetic and respond to the needs of our children and work to support positive behaviors and address challenging behaviors. Why does this happen? There's so many factors, as the other slide said. It could be neurological, it could be developmental, it could be the temperaments. There's many factors to think about, and we will get into those on our next episode. Take a moment and practice some of those deep breathing exercises that we talked about. I will say, give yourself a homework assignment. Think about your child's love language. That'll be our next conversation on understanding our child's behaviors. And not only understanding our child's behavior, but connecting and building from that level of the love language of our child. I encourage you to look up the love language challenge. It's Gary Chapman, and I would encourage you as you're understanding and doing some of those things that we just talked about. Also taking a moment and do the love language quiz with your child, with your loved one, with your significant other to see what it is so that you'll be able to connect and understand the things that you see. And yes, there are love languages for our children. So if you can see right here, we have 5lovelanguages.com, and we're going to look for five love language for children. And I would encourage you to take a moment and take the quiz for your children and see what you get. And then when we come back next week, we'll talk about how this ties to understanding your child's behaviors, connecting with them at that level, and making sure that we're showing up and engaging and helping our children grow. Understanding behavior is important, and then we tie in those love languages and we can build an intentional, loving, caring relationship with those that we're connected to. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next week as we talk about those love languages and how it ties to understanding behaviors. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching this episode of A Star Heart TD.
Life is a journey, and there are many moments. Some moments are smooth. You flow through them effortlessly. There are other moments when life's challenges interrupt your momentum, yet you find the strength to get back on track, to keep moving. So even if you have to crawl to make it there, do it, because victory belongs to you. You are equipped to handle every part of the journey. You were created to overcome this. Don't give up. I love you.